What up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video we're going to talk about how to beat somebody with psychic illusion powers or the ability to psychically attack somebody. Now before I get into this, I do want to give a big shout out to a new subscriber of mine by the name of Bernardo Da Vinci. Sorry I didn't mention your name in my last videos, I kind of forgot, and when I was looking through my notifications I didn't see it, so sorry for that. But cool name by the way. Also, before I get into this, I do want to mention I am kind of sick, so if you do hear some parts where it sounds weird, where, I might pause a little, just know that's me either swallowing like I did right now, or my nose is, because also my nose is congested, and I'm trying to, sometimes it gets my words stuck, so sorry for that. Let's get into it though. Okay, so how do we beat somebody who can cast psychic illusions into somebody's mind and attack them through their mind and psyche? Now, before we talk about how to beat them, let's go into how, psychic powers work and what different types of them there are for like psychic attacks. Now, psychic attacks and illusion casting are kind of two different things. You don't have to have psychic abilities to be an illusion caster. You could just have magic and cast like fake images through like the physical, which would look like holograms, but they do line up. And if you have mental psychic attacking powers, you can also cast illusions, but it's just directly in that specific person's mind. Whereas illusion casting as a whole is that you create an image throughout the physical that looks like kind of like a hologram, and it tricks like multiple people. I mean, you can do the same thing with psychic illusions. You can attack multiple people, but it isn't exactly the same. It is just one of the parts of psychic attacks. Now, psychic illusions can be a little more dangerous, but they're usually not the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing is psychically attacking somebody's mind. Now, a psychic illusion, basically you put a false image in their head to trick them, and this can be very useful. Like, let's say your opponent is very powerful and fast, and they're trying to attack the person. If they cast a psychic illusion in their mind, they will assume that that person is over there and try to attack it while they're hitting basically nothing, but in their mind they actually think they're hitting the person. So as they're distracted and hitting the opposite, you could either get away or attack them from the back. So let's look at it as a scenario. Let's say there's a powerful character that you cannot beat, but that you have psychic powers, and you can cast psychic illusions. You can cast a psychic illusion to make them think that you're on the other side instead of where you are. So they go over there and they start fighting them, and as their back is turned, you go in for the kill and you take them out. And this is how kind of like Sasuke Aizen did it in Bleach, where he would always use his Zanpakuto to cast these illusions in people's minds to warp their perception of reality, and when they think they actually hurt him, they're actually not hurting him, they're attacking nothing, and he comes from the back and stabs them, or is able to trick them to attacking their own people. So it's a very, very deadly ability, and it's very, very hard to tell what is happening and what's happening in reality. Even those who can warp reality will be confused with what they're warping and what reality is, which is crazy to think. Also, these psychic abilities of psychically attacking people's minds, I have talked about in like multiple videos with different characters that have OP abilities or powers. And one of the go-to things that I go with being able to beat them is using psychic attacks. And the reason why I use it is because even the most overpowered powers can be beaten if they don't know what is happening and they are tricked into thinking that what they're doing is beating the person they're against. So psychic attacks and creating psychic illusions are actually quite OP as a power, and it's one of the more common OP power-ups, which is quite insane, because usually most powerful abilities or superpowers are those ones that are ridiculously crazy. But this one, it is crazy, but it is quite common, and I do think that it is the best way to beat some of the most ridiculously powerful characters and most ridiculously powerful abilities, like being able to see the future, warp reality, going super fast, going through time and stuff. You can literally, if you mess with their mind, they don't know what the hell to do. So it's very powerful, but that's why I wanted to make this video, to talk about how to beat somebody with this power that can basically beat a lot of people. Now, we've seen throughout multiple fictions with different characters who had these psychic abilities to varying degrees. We have like Martian Manhunter from DC. We have Itachi from Naruto. We do have like the entire Uchiha clan with their genjutsu, they can basically genjutsus are just basically psychic attacks or psychic abilities. But Itachi has been very well known for his high level of psychic abilities when it comes to that. So there's many different characters that have it, and they're usually very dangerous to beat because if you're against an opponent that can literally either look at you and mess with your mind or stand from afar and mess with your mind is very dangerous. Now, psychic illusions, like I said, could be very good in that regard, but still, even if they can cast psychic illusions, people's minds can be able to tell if it's fake sometimes. Now, yes, it tricks a lot of people and it's a very good way to beat them, but depending on the level, if you have like top tier psychic illusion casting where it completely messes with all the perception, then yes, it can be very hard, like Sasuke Aizen. But if it's just like a regular level, people can sometimes see past it, and if they're smart enough to focus and just be like, let me like try to detect which one's the real one, they can be able to beat it. So that could also help out against psychic abilities. I think the best way to do it though would be to have the ability to sense energy. So if they can sense that create psychic illusions, usually people go by their sight and their hearing. But there's characters like in Dragon Ball that can sense energy, and whenever they're in a situation where their eyesight or their hearing isn't helping them out, they use their ability to sense energy. And maybe you can mess with their mind and perception of what they're sensing, but it's going to be a lot harder because having the ability to sense energy will also give you more of a stronger mind. So people who have that ability will be using their mind, and they will have a stronger mind in general, but also ability to perceive reality because they are able to focus on what reality is. You can obviously trick them too, because even in Dragon Ball they had the one character who can disperse his energy and stuff, or put like false energy and stuff, and it was stricken Gohan. But the most seasoned veterans with that ability to sense energy will be able to find a way to beat it, especially if you use it continuously. At first it might work, but if you keep on using it for a long duration, it will just be more and more useless to you, and then at that point they'll be able to see past it and get you. So people who can basically focus on energy signatures and target certain things with their mind that like they focus a lot, those people are going to be harder to beat with that. But a psychic attack is a lot different because you're directly just attacking the mind. You can basically make a person docile. You can make them like a vegetable where they can't even move, they're just like drooling and stuff. You can basically attack their mind, and like how Itachi does, where you can put them in like in a mindscape where you like, it might be a second outside in the real life, but inside there it's like days and they're being tortured. So that one's more dangerous than psychic illusion. Psychic illusions we've seen by Sasuke Aizen is quite powerful, but you can go past it if you have that ability. But this one's a lot more deadly because for them to attack your mind, they have psychic abilities. The only way to fight it back is if you have your own psychic abilities. But even then, there's characters that have psychic abilities that go up against guys that are more powerful with that, and they still lose and get immobilized. So even having psychic abilities alone will not help you out with that. So how do you beat somebody with these ridiculous level of powers where they can just do whatever they want to your mind and destroy you? Because this bypasses physical like durability. They might not be able to kill you, but they can at least immobilize you, and as long as if you're not able to fight back, you lost. So how do you beat this? Well, one is to have either psychic resistance or psychic complete protection, or I forgot what's called, nullification. So if you have psychic resistance, that means that psychic attacks might work on you, but you can at least hold it back. You'll have some defense against psychic attacks, and depending on how much resistance you might have, it can help out. Now if you're against if you have like a good enough level of psychic resistance against a psychic whose psychic attacks aren't that powerful, you can completely block them out or protect yourself from being messed with your mind. But if you're against a top tier level and your psychic resistance isn't that high, it can help out, but they will still be able to eventually beat you with their psychic powers. So that can be very deadly in that regard. But it really depends on how much resistance you have. And it's better to have some resistance to psychic abilities and psychic attacks than have none. And then we have the ones where you can completely nullify it, and that will make their power completely useless. Because at that point, they can try to attack your mind, but if you can completely block out any psychic attacks, either illusion casting or just psychically attacking them in general, their power won't work. So basically, this is like an anti-psychic ability. So either psychic resistance can help out and psychic nullification could completely beat them, so there's no way they can win. You can also have like the ability to sense energy because you will be using your mind. It'll be a little bit stronger to handle stuff. You can still be tricked a little, but at least it will be kind of like you have some fighting abilities when it comes to your own mind and be able to analyze it. Also, sometimes smart characters, even if they're not like, it can work on them, they're ridiculously smart that they're able to tell what they're going through is bullshit and be able to beat it. So you could probably have ridiculous, intelligence also. Also, another way that I've seen that it works is if the person has, if you have super speed, that means that not only is your body going to be moving really fast, but your your brain's also going to be thinking fast, processing the information really fast. Because obviously, if you're going to move at incredible speeds, your brain needs to be able to comprehend what it's doing and what it's looking at, so you aren't blind or you just don't like just mindlessly do it. So the reason why this is important is for somebody to psychically attack the person, they will need to have some of a lock on your mind. So they'll have to pierce into the person's mind and get a hold of it and find a way to attack it. Unlike psychic illusions, you don't really need to attack directly. You just put a false image in their head and you can trick them that way. But to psychically attack them, you have to kind of grasp onto that, their brain, and then look into it, see how it works, and then attack it directly and find ways to hurt it. And this is really hard against somebody who has super speed, because if, let's say, you move at the speed of light, your brain will be processing information at that speed too. And at that speed, it's hard to get a grasp on it. So if somebody does have psychic, attacking abilities where they directly go at it, if the person has, at super speed and their mind moves really fast, they can't really grasp onto their mind, and it'll be too fast for them. We've seen it countless times where characters who have this ability, they're like, that person's mind was processing information too fast and it was messing up my mind. This does also happen against like people who can read minds, but this definitely happens against those because they have to grasp onto it and find a way to attack it. But this way they can't really do that and it'll mess up their head. And sometimes it doesn't always happen. If you're crazy enough, if the character's insane, it won't work on them. Like apparently the Joker, he's so crazy that Martian Manhunter can't look into his mind because it messes him up, which is kind of stupid because he can't do it to him, but he can do it to Mxyzptlk, who's a fifth dimensional being and he can warp reality. But then again, that showcases that even if a character can warp reality and existence, they can be psychically messed with, because that doesn't mean they have psychic protection. But yeah, those are a couple of the ways to do it. But the best way I think it is to basically, if you're fast enough to kill them right away. These people are dangerous. You do not waste any time. You do not let them, be able to catch on to you. The only way to defeat them is to take them out before they activate their power. Because once they activate it, you're basically now in their trap and you're basically screwed. So there isn't really many ways to beat somebody with these abilities. The only ways to really beat them is to have psychic resistance, complete psychic protection, have some energy sensing ability where you can kind of see through the bullshit, be smart enough to where you can outsmart it and not let it trick you. You could also have your own psychic attacking abilities, but you need to have it to a high level too if you're against a more powerful character. You can have super speed where your mind processes information too fast and they can't really get onto it. Or you can be, some instances, not always, be insane to the point where they can't just this person's mind is too crazy for me. But the best ways is to have at least some psychic or mental training or have some protection of your mind, because it's a lot more different than physical, because this way you can bypass physical attacks, but also think of it like physical. When you're against an opponent that's stronger or faster or more durable than you, you will have to, have those physical capabilities to match that to beat them. So same thing with psychic abilities. If somebody has psychic abilities to attack you, you don't have to have psychic attacking powers yourself, but you have to have some psychic protection or some way to protect your mind from being invaded and beaten. So those are basically the only ways to do it. Any other way, you're pretty much screwed. I would suggest you kill them really fast too if you're gonna do it. Attack their head, shoot them in the brain or whatever. Shoot them with laser guns, because then it's too dangerous. Also, if they need a certain range to be in to do psychic powers, you can activate let's say a massive explosion, like we see in Dragon Ball where they put their arms together and they let out an explosion, and they need to be in a certain radius. If you expand out that explosion, it doesn't matter what they're doing to your head, you can take them out. So yeah, that's another way I guess you can beat them. But really, it's not that easy to beat someone like that. But that doesn't mean if a character has psychic abilities they can beat anybody. Because there are a ton of characters that can technically that definitely have some ability where they can handle psychic abilities, and I could possibly make a video about that in the future. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for next time.